What is up, gamers? M107 here, and today we're back with a topic that's been talked about recently. I mean, all around the world. And it all started with the release of a long awaited title. And I believe all you guys already know what I'm talking about. That's right, The Last of Us Part 1. This port might not be the worst PC port I've ever seen. Like, there are some PC ports that are way, way worse. You guys remember GTA 4, right? That game sucks. Even with today's high-end hardware, people are still suffering. Now, every once in a while, us PC gamers experience some bad PC ports, but some of these ports can be pretty much justified. I mean, you don't expect an indie game to be able to give you a constant decent FPS with widescreen support and all that, and I think people need to understand this, but when it comes to AAA titles, just like Sony exclusives, these games got a whole team of so-called experts behind them. Not only that, but add multi-million-dollar budgets and tremendous amounts of advertising to hype people into buying these games. Just to be clear, I'm not here to blame Naughty Dog or Sony as a whole. Obviously, there are many bad PC ports that have nothing to do with them, but since this whole PC port thing became so popular right after the release of The Last of Us Part 1 and their history of releasing broken games, I decided to focus mostly on PlayStation Studios. That being the case, let's go back in time a little bit.
All right.
It's August 7th, 2020, and Horizon Zero Dawn has just been released on PC. I was one of the people who got their hands on the game really quick, day one version of the thing, and man, that game sucked. 10 out of 10 disaster. No words can explain how bad it was. And the funny thing is, it got better over time, but it never came close to what it should have been. The same thing is probably going to happen to The Last of Us the way things are going. A few months later, we've got Days Gone on PC, which was a decent game, at least for those with decent PCs. The graphics were incredible and the game was great. The only thing that comes to mind is that the game was a CPU killer. I mean, if you were having some CPU bottleneck or a weak CPU in general, your experience was ruined. Moving on, and it's early 2022, the masterpiece God of War is now on PC. The game feels like a game that's made by PC gamers for PC gamers when it comes to key bindings and how generally user-friendly it is. Some might hate me for this, but the graphics are not as good to justify how demanding the game is. You need at least an RTX 3060 just to be able to touch 60 FPS at 1080p, and considering frame drops and heavier scenes, it's not even going to be a solid 60 FPS. Keep in mind we're talking about RTX 3060, GPUs like GTX 1060 can only achieve an average of 33 FPS, which quite honestly is a console level number. And don't get me wrong, there are decent PC ports as well. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection was pretty damn good. In my opinion, God of War was a decent PC port as well as Days Gone. However, it's mind-blowing how studios like Naughty Dog react when their unfinished yet for some reason released games get so much hate and negative reviews. In The Last of Us case, after everyone was getting triggered by constant crashes and ridiculously bad performance, they first apologized and promised to fix everything and encouraged people to report crashes when they occur. 2 weeks later, the initial problems still exist and they released a patch where they've changed the hot position. For God's sake, I mean, look at the contradiction. They knew what's the problem, they apologized for it, and that's what they did about it. And you know why people are so pissed about all this? It's because we've seen how decent a PC port can be if everything gets done correctly. Doom Eternal, every single Wolfenstein game, and the list goes on. Cyberpunk 2077 was a disaster day one release, but because CD Projekt Red is so dedicated, everything is fixed right now and everyone's happy about it. When people actually understand the fact that some developers don't care about performance quality, that's when things get all messed up. Refunds come in as a last resort, and negative reviews take over the entire Reddit. One of the reasons why they don't give a solitary heck about the quality of these ports is that people will buy their games anyway. I was talking to a brainless so-called fan the other day, and he was defending Naughty Dog because their game only runs on RTX 4090, and that's moving forward with technology. Okay. I'm not joking, that's what he said. And people like him, no matter how screwed a game is, will still buy it, and to be honest, I believe their numbers are high enough to guarantee some sort of benefits for studios like Naughty Dog. I would love to cast a magic spell and address the issue, but when it comes down to it, the more they put money and effort into actually optimizing ports for PC, the better the result is going to be. I believe the more we experience these kind of ports and the more hate they get, the more the developers understand the true importance of performance when porting games on PC. Imagine they want to release The Last of Us Part 2 on PC. They wouldn't dare to make the same mistake again. I mean, they already know how people will react if they mess up, and believe me, they don't want that. And for the ultimate question of the video, Will there be a day where bad PC ports are no longer a thing? This whole concept is possible only when all developers feel responsible for their games, and we as human beings know by common sense that such thing is almost impossible. The point here is, when all these unfinished games rise, the hate and negativity rise with them, and it will ultimately cause a wake-up call for people who bring these games into creation. But there will always be that developer who takes advantage of the hype around their game and never really cares about anything else. That would be my honest answer, but I would love to know how you guys answer the question and what you think about the topic, so do make sure to comment down below and share your thoughts on that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Stay cool.